Dear friends, I'm glad to meet you all at Feygin Live channel. It is 3 minutes past 10, Monday 23rd of May, day 89. We're spending it with Olexiy Arestovych. Glad to see you, Olexiy. Likewise, good evening, everybody. We have over 180,000 people watching us live. About 20,000 of them left their likes, so again, my usual request, please subscribe to this channel, to Olexiy Arestovych channel, and to Privateer Station if you're watching that in English. And don't forget to click that bell and the like button. Alright, let's talk about the news. Since we missed the day yesterday, so maybe you can share some of the news with us. A lot of news, and if we can follow the line of the front, let's go from the north to Kherson. North of Kharkiv region, Russian command brought a bit of extra troops there. Their task was not to let our troops go towards Volchansk. To prevent them from cutting the supply lines of Izium group. So they threw a bit of the groups up north and started pushing towards Kharkiv. I'll have to tell you, describe the map with my words, since I do not see the map you're showing. We've shown this map a few times, and it's near Vovchansk, where the railroad transport railway lies. So they attacked not Kharkiv itself, but the northern area above it. And our troops that are following the border towards the east were actually hit, and there was an attempt to cut their communication lines near Rubezhny. This is a different Rubezhny. This is a Kharkiv Rubezhny. And they tried attacking our group there. 3 battalion groups, even one of them was motorized group. They tried to destroy our troops moving along the border. Did not succeed in that, but did succeed in taking some of our attention away, so we had to turn and attack them. Now let's go further. Let's go to the east of Kharkiv and go to the west of Izium. So they are working on creating the protection on the left, so we do not cut them off from the comm lines and supply lines. So there is a road there that follows the front line. They're throwing a bit more troops there. They even dropped a tank group there to prevent any defeat at the moment. And they're also trying to move towards Slaviansk. It's not a simple territory, and they're trying to get around Slaviansk and try to push our group that is north of Slaviansk and push it towards Seversky Donets. They're regrouping right now, but we do expect that they'll continue their push further. Let's go to the east. It's almost, there is one town that's on the border between Donetsk and Lugansk regions, and that may be another Belogorovka situation where they're trying to cross the river. They're attacking Ozerno, which is almost near Seversky Donets. If you can, those who can zoom into that, and they'll try to create a crossing over the river to try to lock Popasnaya closer to Liman. Liman was shot at today, but they did not enter it. Now let's go to the east. There is a threat of a second Belogorovka. Maybe they'll take the lessons of the previous one, but it may end up in the same way as it did there. We got artillery and they're pretty good in that direction, but we'll see. To the east, Severodonetsk is almost surrounded. They tried to enter it several times during the last couple days, and they tried to go on the northeastern side to cut it. They entered that side and then they were kicked out. In Severodonetsk, we go south and a bit to the west. There, Russian troops had some success and they pushed for about 10 miles during the last week. And they have some artillery, so they can reach the communication line between Bakhmut and Lysychansk. It's that road where the bridge was destroyed. So that road is being shot at. It's not safe anymore, but and some of you may have seen online the videos of the vehicle moving real fast on the road and being shot at. That's that road. The situation there is not good. Good side is that we stopped Russian troops and we stopped them several kilometers away from the road. And the advancement stalled, even though they prepared enough groups which they thought would be enough to push through. So we managed to stop them. Now let's go further. So their logic is to encircle Severodonetsk, near Siversk and Popasna. And they're trying to do the usual pincer movement over there. Let's go further, go down to Avdiivka. They tried to get to Krasnogorovka, got kicked out of there, tried to bomb Avdiivka. Then going by Donetsk, Marinka, Kurakhova, that's where also tried to push through, did not work for them. We stopped them. Now let's go to the west. Malinovka, Pologi, Orekhovka in the Zaporozhye region. And they tried to create a group there and push around Pologi. They got a couple of tactical groups in that area. And they're preparing for the small tactical advancement. Let's go to the left. Vasilievka is straight down under Zaporozhye. They had 3 battle tactical groups there. I had some relatives sending me news, and our people were smiling, texting, saying that the first time there are more Russians there, Russian troops, than the civilians. So they're just walking around, stealing things and terrorizing local population. So over there we go to the left, to Kherson, to the right side. They're even trying to create a helicopter detachment there and see where they're flying. They're flying somewhere and shooting somewhere, but we don't know whom they're fighting with. There are no troops in that area. So our troops went there to investigate, have not seen what are they attacking. So we cannot exclude that the chopper pilots just don't want to burn on the front line, so they're flying elsewhere and shooting phantom targets. So we see the group of being gathered there, and it's a question whether they're trying to reinforce their defense or preparing another offensive. I suspect offensive is useless in that area, but we'll see. So that strange mix of activity and activity in the north, activity throughout the whole front line, and attempts to push through in the middle. Generally, it's the same as it was before. They're just bringing more troops, about 20 battalion tactical groups altogether for the whole front to try to push through in some places. And maybe get to Severodonetsk, maybe cut off the communication between Bakhmut and Severodonetsk, and maybe gain something around Malinovka in Gulay-Polya area, to the east of Pologi and Orekhova. So maybe there'll be something there in Kherson and Kryvyi Rog regions. So they're throwing more reserves and being a little frantic. It appears that somebody in Kremlin is probably burning in terms of a timeline and about to miss the milestone. So they're ushering their troops to go and try to capture more. So Russian troops are enduring horrible casualties. We also losing troops, significant losses, not as horrible as Russian side, but still we can feel it. But what we see is that their troops are really hodgepodge of everything. So the one near Izum, it's a mix of reserves, Donbass volunteers, some of the mechanized brigades, some of the police force, and there's less and less of the qualified tank brigades or heavy equipment, motorized vehicles, specialists on the front. They're really rubbing away the remnants of what they have. So if they were playing in poker or in some casino, they wouldn't be sitting completely naked, but they probably would be in their underwear at that point, getting ready to remove the last garment. And they're still losing troops. Intensity in some parts is weaker, slower, but they're still trying to grind through and they're losing it. So it is not an easy situation for us as well. There is still a threat. There's definitely a threat near Severodonetsk that they can capture that town. At the same time, our command is aware of everything that's happening, and we're trying to counter their attacks and the fact that we actually stopped them in a few places. So there is hope that we can possibly fend them off. We have about 380,000 people watching us live. We've been online for 14 minutes. Let's also talk about what does Russian military command go for. So that push that they're undertaking now is that their attempt to capture additional territories right before they return back to the table of negotiations. What if even if they surround Severodonetsk, it's not exactly Mariupol. Well, it's a big town. It's a threat of a second Mariupol. In a way, it's actually as Mariupol in the early stages. So we're also trying to deblocade it and make sure they don't capture it, because it's the last military fortified area in Lugansk region that we have. And if they manage to capture it, first of all, our troops will run the risk of being surrounded there, and then they would be pretty much going to the borders of Lugansk region after that. So it also might help their command internally in Russia to get their morale higher, which is really low right now, and on our side it'll have a reverse effect and bring some of the morale down. And in Russia, yeah, they'll play that as the tactical success and operative tactical success. But if they continue playing these successes with the same cost, there are at least 4 other towns that way. So if they spend that much energy taking one, you can only imagine how much will it cost them to get another 4. But if they manage to do it, if they manage to get Severodonetsk, they can claim that they got to the border of Lugansk and Donetsk regions. So how much forces did they lose just fighting for that area and that phase of operation? So we count from the 4th of April, the beginning of that phase, near Izium in that area, it'll be just there, several thousand dead and wounded. Because troops that were trying to take Severodonetsk and Popasna, especially the ones that took Popasna, Severodonetsk just being beaten on the sides, but Popasna attackers, they lost 60 to 80% of their personnel. So were these the casualties of Russian troops or DNR, LNR, those fake republics? No, those are real Russian casualties. And for the most part, it's Russian troops in that direction. The conscripts, the fresh ones, are being thrown near Avdiivka, roughly, not near Severodonetsk. And what I want to say is that Russian army could fight like that, it could even win like that, if they were anything like a Soviet army, where they would have 10 million, if need be, under arms, and they would have a huge engineering and supply chain support in Russia. Then it would make sense. Otherwise, without that resource, it's unscalable. And if Severodonetsk falls, that might happen to become a second Mariupol. Olexiy, your audio disappeared. Are you still with us? That's our connection. All right. Let's try to restore that. Olexiy is in a place where internet is very weak and spotty. So we're experiencing all these issues. I know the sound is so-so, but we're trying to do the cast even under these conditions, because we think it's worse if we wouldn't have them. We'll try to call Olexiy now directly and see why did we hang. There are 413,000 viewers watching us. Please subscribe to Feygin Live or Privateer Station if you're watching that in English. We're hoping to increase our audience and share that information to a wider number of viewers. Also subscribe to Olexiy Arestovych's channel. There is a link to his name. That was I ran into it. Okay, let's continue. You were saying that there is no Stalin, there is no Lend-Lease working for Russia at this moment. So I wanted to say all that, maybe not everything, but most of it, Ukraine has. Maybe it's not fully deployed yet, but at least it's been announced. So, I understand that Russia, except for the last push near Severodonetsk, they really do not have any reserves. That's correct, Russian army does not have any serious operative reserves. In the region, they would have maybe 5 or 7 battalion tactical groups, which are formed out of the newly arrived reserves, poorly trained, and their military value is iffy, very questionable. So our situation is almost diametrally opposite. We have lend-lease, we have support of different armaments coming through, and we do have more people that we can call to fight in our army. And frankly, on the operative level, it's not about the quantities and the items that you have. It's more about the tempo, the cadence. If you have good equipment which arrived on time and maybe moved 50 miles and attacked the enemy, you're good. Versus having mediocre set that moved 100 miles and missed. So let's also discuss the meeting in Ramstein. There are some good news there. Countries are discussing more kinds of help to Ukraine. And they've stated, at least what I've seen in media, that there are almost 50 countries in that anti-Russia coalition. Second, they announced that 20 countries agreed to the weapons transfer to Ukraine. So 20 of them are supplying us with new equipment, new equipment packages. Italy, Poland, Czech Republic, Greece, even Danes announced that they're giving us new equipment, and Austin mentioned that Danes are giving us a new package of missiles, surface-to-ship missiles, Harpoon. They go roughly to 220 miles and modified fly as far as 280 miles. So given that they said they're giving us missiles and stations to launch them, so it'll likely be surface-based, but the threat to Russian fleet grows, and we can possibly repeat the story that we did with Moskva cruiser. Russian fleet needs to stay further away from Ukrainian waters and probably give up their attempts with the Snake Island. And Austin requested countries to increase support to Ukraine, and they specifically emphasized tanks, artillery, and anti-ship systems. And our President Zelensky was also giving a speech in Davos on the International Economic Forum. He gave a pretty fiery speech, and some of the main theses were that in order for Russia to force them to withdraw and stop military aggression, there needs to be implemented an embargo, and their banks need to be ousted from the international banking system. So our president called other countries to stop using rubles, paying for resources, and possibly withdraw from consuming Russian resources altogether. Germany, surprisingly to us, also stated today that European Union is very close to achieving the oil embargo for Russian oil, so that was a surprise for us. Of course, you cannot do that same embargo on gas, natural gas, but at least oil will definitely hit them hard. And symbolically, it's interesting because Schroeder is leaving any position related to the Russian companies, and ex-Minister of Foreign Affairs in Austria, Karim, who came to the wedding, or whose wedding Putin attended, I guess. So yeah, they don't want to be part of the sanctions, and they are refusing to work and represent Russian interests. Another interesting subject was an idea to organize a group of countries similar as oil producers, the countries that produce food, to try to counter an issue of famine in the world, because every year there are about 1.5 Holodomors, starving, historic episode in Ukrainian history, where a lot of people starved to death. So every year there are a lot of people who do not eat well, who drink bad water. And our president called for the blocking of the ports, so Ukraine ports, so we can supply food to the world. And that was his push to try to prevent more deaths from starvation further down the road. So Boris Johnson was also active. I understand that Britain is building a lot of infrastructure in the northern seas, military infrastructure, so probably they'll use some of it in the Black Sea if it'll get to military deblocking the Ukrainian ports and letting Ukrainian food supplies to flow via the usual routes. Because there is a group of countries that are importers of Ukrainian grain and are currently under direct threat of not getting it this year. So Europe is waking also in regards to increasing their military expenses. Countries that were very sleepy and sluggishly adding any money to their military budgets, this year they're actually waking up. Some countries that were under Russian influence, they're doing both actions. They're kind of opposing Russian invasion and also trying to appease them here and there. But overall, 200, 300 different bureaucrats that represent European Union are surprisingly active in terms of providing support to Ukraine against Russian invasion. But at some parts it's interesting. Some of them give us new packages of weapons, and at the same time also try to suggest that Ukraine joins European Union on a faster scheme, a faster track, and also try to push giving some of the territories that Russia occupied to Russia, at least for temporary management. So some of the messaging is still mixed. Like Kherson region, where Russia is running, they're trying to push. Russia is trying to change currency, and they're slowly shifting away from Ukrainian money to Russian, and it has all signs of the economic annexation. So I hope that Europe will not make these mistakes looking at annexation and the fact that Russia captured different territories, and it has all the signs of annexation, which is a crime. It is against the European laws. And yeah, Russia is literally trying to get her Kherson region to join them economically. And there is another news I wanted to bring. Do you want me to speak? Yeah, sure. Russian channels, Telegram channels, are insanely pumping the theme after Putin and Lukashenko meeting that there is a Ukraine-Polish threat to Belarus, that Poland wants to annex some of the Belarus regions, and that Ukraine wants to attack Belarus as well. So they're pushing that scenario, which is real weird in the current situation for us, that Ukrainian army will hit Belarus, and then Ukrainian special forces and Ukrainian Russian Legion will go there and attack Belarus. So it seems like Putin is using all kinds of means to try to convince Lukashenko to open the second front in the north. But I suspect it's in a more opportune moment. Earlier, very unlikely he will do that now, when it's much different. Although, you can never be 100% sure. So another piece of news, to answer Russian annexation attempt to annex Kherson region economically, a fixed Russian put mayor of Energodar is taken out. So was he killed? No, he's in reanimation, intensive care. Local partisans took care of him, so that's a message to all collaborants who are trying to work with occupants during the military time on the Ukraine territory. Don't. Olexiy, you are stuck again. That's the connection today. Sorry guys, we don't really have much options here. We either do the cast or we don't. So we're doing our best with the current weak connection that he has to try to get information from him, even with these difficulties. So it gives us a little more motivation to get more data from him. Sorry about the connection. I hope tomorrow we'll have a bit better. And we'll have better internet. And maybe he'll be in a place where the sound is better as well. We've been online 32 minutes with something, almost 33. Major subjects were addressed. We also have Medvedchuk theme. We'll touch upon it. Olexiy, you with us? Yes, I'm here, coming and going. Your internet sucks today. I know, I'm in a place where coverage is pretty poor. We have 450,000 people watching us live, and they want to hear from you more, so they're not turning off. So my message was to all of the collaborationists who want to work with the occupants, do not. You might meet a shadow in the driveway that you did not expect to see there. Let's talk about the main collaborationist, Medvedchuk, who started talking according to some data and started spilling the beans on the previous head of the country, that these coal shipments were done with his approval. What can you say about that? Medvedchuk is really talking because he understands that he is cutting off some of the ways to retreat. We actually saw the video, so it was not somebody telling that he says that. He is an attorney. He has been a congressman, so he knows what he is saying. Yeah, he does. He should. So there are two things. First is how they privatized the pipe, the diesel pipe, and they made about $42 million, according to Ukraine Secret Service, as long as the pipe worked. And according to Medvedchuk, Poroshenko was asking for that help. And they used also different structures from National Bank to security services, federal security. And also they used the same outfit for coal sales. And there were some guys in the European Union saying that it's lies of oh yes, it's his party's office in it's his Poroshenko's party office announced that please do not bring these accusations. They may split the country during these difficult times. So our agreement of mutual non-aggression lasted for 23 days, and after that pro-Poroshenko bloggers started attacking the power. Formally he announced peace, but his people then started attacking the power, and in a really treacherous way, like who took the mines off landmines from Chingar. And actually nobody did. Our guys died there. There was a Russian advantage of 15-1, and there are a lot of guards died in that area, but nobody took the landmines out, although that legend, black legend, was born. And then they're also bringing that rumor that NATO doesn't want us and there is no help from NATO. Then there was another Poroshenko group of bloggers attacking us, including myself, that we gave Mariupol to Russians because we wanted to get rid of Azov. And now the face changed and their logic is different, but they keep these propaganda waves active, which, by the means and the ideas they generate, very often are a bit darker than Solovyov and Skabeyeva in Russia against us. And officially they're saying that they're uniting, they're trying to be together. It reminds me of Hezbollah, when part of it is sitting in parliament, another part is shooting Qassams at Israel citizens and terrorizing the civilians. And here on the other hand, they're sending all these media that is paid from that trade with DNR, LNR, or from that diesel pipe to attack the current power. I try to be quiet about it. I don't want to get involved with that criminal turf with Poroshenko, but I would just say my personal opinion about Petro Poroshenko. That human had all chances to become a historic figure in Ukraine history. For that, he only needed to convince one person to do that, Petro Poroshenko himself. Instead, he stayed an oligarch and he used his oligarch tools and remained one through and through. So I can tell you a story that I was told parts and then I witnessed some parts. And during that, when this military operation started on the east with Russia, Poroshenko was supposed to create a special forces brigade to try to react and oppose the Russian invasion. And he was supposed to meet the future head of that detachment. He was waiting in his office for an hour and a half. And then eventually he was told to come to the airport to see Petro in airport. So he met him for 3 minutes and then left for United States. And when somebody started to figure out why was he late, where did he spend that hour and a half, and apparently he was interviewing the regional prosecutor. And I was asked, how is that possible? And I said, hey, listen, it's his previous life that's telling him that good relations with the regional prosecutor are much more important than some military figure for the counter-military operation on the Eastern Front. And as time passed, though, Poroshenko, being the head of government, was fed the information and told that he needs to do something and about the army. So after they signed the Minsk Accords, he started funding some army, and that was a good part on his behalf. He did some good things, but he did not become a historic figure. He remained an oligarch who continued doing his usual oligarch stuff. So it's just that on the background of war, his usual steps of negotiations with Moscow, using government resources for his own concerns, suppressing the opposition, polarization of society, and polarization of society, according to some of his advisors from States Principal, that was supposed to help him retain power. So all that on the background of war on the east, that starts to look like a foursquare that's very reminiscent of the prison cell window, because collaboration with the enemy of the country does look a bit like treason. I'm not even talking about some of the orders of the sea boats and some money laundering there, and special services, and then special investigators and court will figure it out. I'm leaving them to make decisions and judgments. But the fact that Ukraine Secret Service gave that information, or Security Service gave that information, it was not a secret, really. It was known internally pretty widely. So. And some people some of his pro-Poroshenko media is saying, do not do that because it will split the country. What I want to say is that, no, especially during the war, it is important collaborating with the oppressor. And it is important for us to continue finding those who are in charge of wrong decisions or corruption. And it's our fault often that in Ukraine we don't have people concrete figures who are responsible. So it is important for us to start finding that. Like in Korea, there's almost no president that was not found guilty of something. So it does make sense that if somebody is making things a bit stronger for the army, buying some sniper rifles and other systems, but with the other hand doing trade with Russia and profiteering on that, that is wrong. So I think I'm a serious proponent of the fact that these crimes should be investigated, especially in the military conflict situation. But I do want to state here that our usual civilian discourse has nothing to do with Poroshenko. Poroshenko has to do with treason, with profiteering by doing business with the enemy in lieu of national security. All right, we have 44 minutes on our timer, 462,000 people watching us live. We'll let the viewers make decisions on what you described. We have the last message here, that not the least important, that we're continuing to try to support the victims. 3 families were already sent some funds. The family of Oksana Balandina was sent 2,000 euros, another 2,000 to Olexiy and her grandma from Mariupol. We'll show again what we are doing. This is the OpenSea platform with NFT items. I cannot even describe why would people buy digital images. Some of them do, and that is the NFT phenomenon. They think it makes sense. Mark, let's say we also cannot find a family from Kramatorsk. Another family got some funds, but that family from Kramatorsk, we cannot find their contacts, where they all suffered during the missile attack on the rail station. I think they're somewhere in a hospital, and both kids are in hospital. Seems like daughter lost a leg, mother probably lost both legs and had some issues with the hand. And we're looking for a boy. We'll show the pictures next show. So we're trying to find that family. If anybody heard of them and knows how to find them, please help us, get in touch with us. And we continue the effort, so please, if you have your digital works, submit them, so we'll put them on the OpenSea NFT auction place. And remember, you're showing pictures that kids drew, your kids drew. So here's another one, a daughter of a friend of mine who is also a congressman is selling this painting, and she will donate everything to the military of Ukraine. That's a 13-year-old girl drawing. That will be on the OpenSea NFT as well. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. You'll be with us, right? Yes, I hope everything will be fine. I'll join you. Then tomorrow at 10 p.m. we'll meet again. Thank you all viewers, and we'll continue what we did not touch upon today. Thank you, Olexiy. Goodbye.